Today we are going to talk about pedagogy. Pedagogy, in fact, is very, very important in the field of teaching. And every teacher needs to know more about pedagogy. And let me tell you something. What makes some teachers perform better than other teachers is that those teachers know more about pedagogy. They know what is the importance of pedagogy in teaching. They know what are the pedagogical approaches of teaching. So pedagogy is very, very important. So today we are going to shed light on the importance of pedagogy in teaching. So first of all, what is pedagogy? Here I came up with some definitions concerning pedagogy. Pedagogy is the art, so it is an art or science or profession of teaching. So here we can understand that pedagogy has to do with the field of teaching. Pedagogy is a method of teaching in which teachers teach both in theory and in practice. Very, very important because pedagogy is a method of teaching, and every teacher needs to know what is the best method that works for his or her own students. And these methods or this method works depending on the circumstances, on the conditions, or the environment in which teachers teach in. Very, very important to keep in mind. Also, pedagogy refers to the study of different teaching methods. So, pedagogy refers to several teaching methods, and teachers need to know more about these teaching methods. Pedagogy also includes teaching styles, feedback from their teachers, and assessments that need to be completed by the students. So these, let's say, are the key concepts of a successful teaching process. Um, and believe me, successful teachers know um, more about these concepts. If you do know what are the teaching styles that work for you as a teacher, because what uh, what may work for you might not work for me as a teacher, and it's very important to know your own style of teaching. Also, feedback is very, very important for students because students need your feedback, you need your guidance, okay, need your opinion. Okay. And lastly, of course, assessments. You need to evaluate your students by giving them assessments in order to check out how better your students have learned. And lastly, pedagogy refers to the study of teaching approaches. As I said, pedagogy consists of several approaches of teaching, and we are going to look at some of the main pedagogical approaches that are used by teachers. And if you know these teaching approaches, you will definitely know how they affect your learners. So this was a brief definition concerning pedagogy. So let's move on to talk about pedagogy in teaching. Um, Pedagogy in teaching refers to the educator's understanding of how the students learn. It's very important for every teacher to know the psychology of their students. Teachers need to understand how their students learn, because automatically when you knew that, you will build a effective relationship between you as a teacher and your students, and therefore you will create a kind of successful interaction. And this what a successful classroom needs, is not only delivering information, not only delivering course lesson to your students and after that finish. No, a successful teacher knows how to create a kind of positive interactions, um, a kind of yes, positive interactions with his or her students. So teacher pedagogy. So teacher pedagogy basically refers to the responsibility of delivering reliable information to the students. But however, this reliable information should be transferred in the right way. That's why I have highlighted this right way. The right way means the right method, the right technique, because if you don't have the right way, your students will not understand what they have taught, what they have learned. So you need to know more about the method that work for your students, because depending on the circumstances, on the conditions in which you teach, some specific method might not work for you, and these what makes your lesson fails. So please keep in mind how to deliver your information, your lesson in the right way. So now let's move to talk about the pedagogical approaches in the field of teaching, of course. So here, the first one that I want to talk about is constructivist. So constructivist basically means that you as a teacher needs to allow your students to be active in the lesson or in the process of understanding and gaining knowledge. It's not a matter of giving information to your students. It's a matter of how your students should learn this information and understand how it works. You need to construct these this kind of active process, and active learning is very important because it allows your students to be creative, to be productive. And this, what we need is a creative students, not a passive students who only receive information and then apply or remember it and apply it in the final exam or in the homework tasks. This is not the purpose of a successful teacher. The second approach is uh, collaborative. So collaborative means that you as a teacher needs to form a kind of groups of learners that learn and work together in order to solve some problems, in order to solve some or to answer some homework tasks, in order to build a strategies, ideas, or create their own projects. So it's very important to give your students the opportunity to express themselves, to create their own project, to solve their problems by their own. It's very important. If we want to create an active students, We need to give him this opportunity. The third approach would be integrative. So, integrative means that uh, your students need um, uh, to learn in an appropriate environment that uh, help them to connect or to be connected with the learning process across the syllabus. Um, the fourth approach is reflective. Reflective means that your students are expected to observe the activities of the teachers and other students in the classroom and um, analyze why um, they do it and how it works. Because, as I said, delivering information to your students need to be successfully delivered, which means that your students need to know why this specific information is delivered to them and how it works. Because when they knew that, they will apply it not only inside classroom, but in their um, real life. And this is one of the purposes of successful pedagogical approaches is to allow your students to use this information in their real life. Okay. And lastly, the last approach is inquiry based learning. The educators or the teachers in general um, are not expected to just answer uh, the students' questions, but also needs to build a kind of culture. This culture where the ideas are explored, are discovered, are challenged, and also are improved by the teacher, by the students I meant. So here we can understand that pedagogy approaches focus more on how to create an active students rather than a passive students who only consumes or receives information from their teachers. Um, Now let's move to talk about the importance of pedagogy in teaching. So pedagogy, it's very important as we have talked about at the beginning of this lesson, because it brings a kind of important quality of teaching. It encourages cooperative learning environment. Students can follow their way of learning. Very, very important. When you create that active students, you create an independent students, a students who is able to learn by his or her own. They know which best way that works for them. And this is what do we need. We need an active learners in general. Convenient learning approach for all improves teacher students communication. So building a successful relationship between teachers and students or between the teacher and students lies on the fact that you need to know your students. You need to understand the psychology of your students. You need, as we said, to understand how your learners learn. What is or what are the best methods that work for your students? So, all of this will definitely come up or with active and successful learners, creative learners, productive learners. And this is the main important uh, approach in teaching is to create or to build creative learners and not passive learners. So I hope that this video is useful and helps you to understand some of the basic or of pedagogy specifically in the field of teaching. So I would say see you later. Thank you for watching.